Since I can remember, I've been constantly told and taught that if you want anything in this world, you have to work for it. That you can be whatever you want to be, as long as you are the one who puts the most time in. The one who wakes up at 6 a.m. to get some extra reading in before class, or the one who stays back late in school to ask questions to the teacher, and that one day, hard work will pay off. It might not be today, tomorrow, or next week, but one day it will come. Now, this idea is one which many people hate and feel that no matter how hard they work, the benefits will not be reaped. I understand that view, but one thing I know is true. If you don't try, then you are guaranteed not to progress. But if you do, you might not hit the heights you aimed for, but might just find something about yourself which you didn't know you had. Now, you're probably all thinking, what does this have to do with the Michael Jordan video I just clicked on? Trust me, it's coming together. When I was younger, I was told I had dyslexia, and so I wasn't able to read properly until I was around 8 to 10 years old. This meant I often felt like I had to overcompensate with being funny, but also giving everything I had into what I was doing. This was a trait that my dad gave to me, always reinforcing that it doesn't matter if you're not the best today, because as long as you keep trying, you'll get there eventually. And eventually I did. I finished high school with good grades, and now I'm going to study history at top university. Though one of the driving factors as to why I always try to leave everything in what I am doing is because of Michael Jordan. Like so many, I grew up knowing who Michael Jordan was, even when I didn't know he was a basketball player. But I knew he was special for one reason or another. I eventually found the videos of him in the gym and interviews where he and other people talk about his furious competitiveness and how he would work harder than anyone in his sport and arguably in the world. Now, I'm by no means comparing myself to Michael Jordan, but what I feel is so important about Michael and why he is a hero to so many while seeming like an unachievable superstar is that he embodies the phrase, luck is what happens when preparation meets opportunity. He has a philosophy that every person can follow. Everybody has talent, but ability takes hard work. Michael Jeffrey Jordan was born in New York City's Brooklyn borough on February 17th, 1963, to the bank employee Dolores equipment supervisor James R. Jordan. Though his stay would not be long, as in 1968 he moved with his family to Willington, North Carolina. Here Jordan attended Elmslie A. Laney High School in Willington, where he started his athletic career by playing basketball, baseball and football. As a sophomore, he tried out for the varsity basketball team, but was rejected for his height, which was 5'11". With this rejection, he set out to prove himself, and he did. Jordan became the star of Laney's junior varsity team, and tallied several 40-point games. In that summer, he grew 4 inches, and was constantly training. His work and efforts from his sophomore season paid off, as he earned a spot on the varsity roster, where he would average more than 25 points per game over his final 2 seasons of high school. As a senior, he was selected to play in the 1981 McDonald's All-American game and scored 30 points after averaging 27, 12 and 6 assists per game for the season. Jordan was seen as a serious talent and so was recruited by numerous college basketball programs, including Duke, North Carolina, South Carolina, Syracuse and Virginia. In 1981, he chose to stay at home, attending a basketball scholarship to the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill, where he majored in cultural geography. Jordan would continue his work effort into college, having a prolific career at Carolina. As a freshman under Dean Smith's guidance, he was named ACC Freshman of the Year, after he averaged 13.4 points alongside making a game-winning jump shot in the 1982 NCAA championship game against Georgetown, which was led by Patrick Ewing. Jordan later described the shot as the major turning point in his basketball career, and that it did. Jordan would go on to become a big-time player at his time in North Carolina, as he averaged 17.7 points per game on 54% shooting and added 5 rebounds. Though Jordan would not just leave with stats, he was selected by consensus to the NCAA All-American First Team in both his sophomore and junior seasons, alongside winning the Naismith and Wooden College Player of the Year awards in 1984. Though Jordan knew he could not stay in college forever, and that to be the best, he had to take the step to play with the best. So Jordan would leave North Carolina 1 year before his scheduled graduation to enter the 1984 NBA draft. Though entering the NBA, Jordan was not the number 1 pick like his talent suggested. Rather, the great Hall of Famer Kareem Olajuwon was picked first, and Sam Bowie, the later being one of the biggest failures in NBA history. However, it seemed it all aligned right for Jordan, as he would be picked by Chicago Bulls at 3. Jordan would win Rookie of the Year and set the city of Chicago alight with his spectacular game. However, in his sophomore season, Jordan would break his foot and miss the majority of the season, as the front office wanted to protect their star. But Jordan was furious by this, and when he was supposed to and when he was supposed to just be rehabbing, at North Carolina University, he started playing pickup games to prove his ability in his phone. When the front office found out, they were furious, put him on a 14-minute restriction, which Jordan was upset about, as it often meant the Bulls would lose a game when he came off, which he believed they could have won. This just shows how much of a competitor Jordan was, even in the face of his body being injured. Jordan would win his first MVP and only Defensive Player of the Year in 1987-88 season, and would continue to be the face of the NBA from then on. However, the ultimate goal of Jordan's was still a championship, which would elude him until 1990-91 season, where he would finally beat the Bad Boy Pistons after 3 consecutive years of defeat, though we will talk about this more in depth. In the finals, Jordan would win his first finals MVP and title against Magic Johnson's Lakers. This would be the start of what is arguably the greatest run by any player or team in league history, as Jordan would follow up his first title with 2 more rings, gaining his first three-peat. Though sadly, the figure that had morphed Jordan into the man he was and stood by his side at all times would see Jordan lose his heart for the sport. On July 23, 1993, James Jordan was murdered, and 3 months later, Michael announced his retirement. After this brief stint in baseball, he would return to the Chicago Bulls in March of 1995, where the Bulls would lose to Shaq and Penny Hardaway's Orlando Magic, with Michael in an extremely rusty condition. But in the next season, Michael would come back with a vengeance, after spending the entire summer prepping his body to dominate the league once again, with the Bulls finishing with the best NBA record of all time, 72 wins and 10 losses. After this, Jordan would take control of his throne over the league, winning a second three-peat and retiring at the end of the 1998 season, alongside returning for one more stint a few years later with the Washington Wizards. He would end his career with 5 MVPs, 6 Finals MVPs and 6 championships, and is most people's greatest player of all time. Michael Jordan is world-renowned. He's an NBA champion, an MVP, a movie star, a business mogul, and the best player to ever lace up a pair of basketball shoes. But what most importantly he is the supreme competitor. Michael Jordan knew that in order to be the best, you had to put the work in all aspects of what you were trying to achieve. And his workouts off the court showed just how much he put this into practice. Like most top athletes, Jordan would work out before practice and after practice ended, always wanting to be more prepared than his opponents. However, Jordan took this to a new level with his Breakfast Club. The Breakfast Club started as a 30-day solo strength and conditioning project for Jordan, and expanded into a 15-year team endeavour made up of himself, Scottie Pippen, Ron Harper, and Randy Brown. Whether it was a practice day or a game day, it didn't matter. Jordan and his crew would gather at his Highland Park, Illinois mansion between 5 and 7 a.m. to work out. The why he really began to work out and put muscle on is because he was getting beaten down on the court when he played the Detroit Pistons, who had a thing called the Jordan Rules, which simply meant anytime Jordan tries to score, beat him down. Jordan did not sit back and be bettered by those who tried to beat him. Instead, he took it to them and swept them in their encounter in the conference finals, humiliating them so bad that they couldn't even shake the hands of the Chicago Bulls. Though Jordan did not just beat his opponents, he also knew that it was just not enough for him to motivate himself, but he knew that the ultimate competitor and winner must bring his team along too. This saw Jordan punch teammates, say things that should never be said, but also mentor and bond them, not as friends, but as brothers, because brothers don't always get along, but they're always there for their brothers. But what truly made Jordan the star he is, and the fierce competitor, is that he believed in himself. Jordan hit shots that shouldn't have been hit. He made layups which seemed impossible to the average person and most NBA stars. But how Jordan did this was through his belief in his work. Every time Jordan took shots in practice, every time he did laps, every time he did an extra rep in a set, he let himself know that when he was ready for the moment, he would take it. Because if you put the work in, then you have the confidence in your abilities. And Michael never doubted his ability because he had done the work. Jordan's philosophy is summed up in this quote: "Some people want it to happen. Some people wish it to happen. Others make it happen."